Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning and welcome. It's Nurse Richard the Wax Wizard. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to start a little different for now. I'm going to show you what the ear looked of this particular patient beforehand, and you're going to see how we got to this point throughout the video. And I've shown you that because it's probably one of the most unusual things I've ever come across in a very long time. And I certainly had to reach out to a few of my colleagues to find out what they thought was going on. I had a few suspicions, but it's probably one of the most unusual things I've ever seen, like I said, because we speak to each other, all the other people who put these things on social media, most of them anyway, and I share it with the professional network via LinkedIn, where a lot of consultants, ENT physicians and specialists have a look at this. So I shared that with them. They all agreed pretty much unanimously what it was, but quite a lot said it's quite unusual. This, I've not seen this before for a very long time, and they're notoriously difficult to deal with. Can be potentially quite serious as well. You were pleased to know that the chap in question obviously got an immediate referral to ENT on an urgent basis. And other than not being able to hear when he came in, didn't really have any symptoms. And as soon as we removed this mass here, he could hear quite well again, or certainly comparatively speaking anyway. I'm not an audiologist, so I can do a crude hearing test on somebody, but not a proper hearing test to figure out if it is what it should be. But he certainly reported that he felt a lot better and could hear a lot better indeed than he could before he came in, which obviously is the main reason why people come. They want to be able to hear again. But I'm glad he came. I've not seen him before, and as far as we know, he'd not had any previous surgery, because that was a question raised when I shared it with my colleagues. Has there been any previous surgery here to cause what you've just seen there at the start of the video? Because obviously it didn't look completely normal, did it? If anyone's seen an eardrum before, that's not what they normally look like. Now his medical history, well, his recollection of it was a little vague, but he certainly doesn't recall having any surgery on it. What he does remember is being sent for a scan, I suspect a CT scan, a number of years ago. So what could have happened is he's been sent for a scan because he may have had this area of concern before, but they wanted to scan that there was nothing going on that you couldn't see with the naked eye, or with the endoscopes or with the otoscopes. And at that time they reported that there wasn't any areas of concern. You've probably already figured out what this thing is. It's a pretty big cholesteatoma. Now, what's a cholesteatoma? And this is in the attic region, which is the at the top of the eardrum. You'll see in most eardrums, and I've done some images after with arrows and everything. I spent a long time putting this together and reading up, so bear with me. So in most eardrums you'll see the handle of the malleus, one of the bones behind the eardrum, and then just above that you see what usually you can sometimes get a bit of a pocket, a bit of a retraction pocket there. And then as the skin sheds from the centre of the eardrum, the top layer, that's what the majority of earwax is, if you don't know. I'm not going to bore you with too much of the science of it, but I think this one particularly warrants a bit more in detail than I normally go. So as the skin sheds from the centre of the eardrum outwards, travels along the ear canal, epithelial migration, it moves from in to out. So it's constantly regenerating and growing new layers. But when you've got one of these little pockets there, which can sometimes happen when the eardrum is sucked inwards a bit, it can get trapped in there and then actually start growing inwards. That has certainly happened here on a massive scale. You might notice a slight difference between the image you've just seen and the image you're seeing now. A slight difference in colour. That's because I've got two endoscopes now, if you've been following the channel. And I've still not made mind up which one I prefer. You can get similar images with both, but I just happen to have I had to change because the light source ran out, so I had to change all that. And as you can see, we're finally managing. What I'm trying to do whilst I've been waffling on is try and pull those bits together. See, it's like a little U shape, can't you? And I've been trying to fill the suction tube up with both of those. So when you block up the suction tube, the power in the machine increases, therefore you can start then pulling it out. But it's really difficult. It's a right battle, but you can already see, just if I lift that up a little bit, which I'm probably not going to do on cue now, am I? But you might see, there you go, a little glimpse in the bottom left corner that you can see the bottom portion of the eardrum there, the little greyish blue tinge that you can see there. You're probably thinking that's all of the eardrum there, but as you've seen on the video, at the very start of the video, there's a lot more to it, and I mean a lot more to it. So we're on the homeward stretch of this now. It didn't have to take some negotiating to get this out, and when it comes out, you'll see why, because there was this dense, dark, hardened keratin plug, which is what it is. Has been tucked up towards the attic region, the top portion of the eardrum, as a lot of cholesteatomas do, but it's gone a lot further than certainly anyone I've ever seen. And we think what it's also done, it's invaded, invaded and eroded all the bones behind there. And when you're talking about the bones down there, you're in the skull basically, So there may well even be more that we can't see. So obviously that's why this chap's going to get a relatively urgent scan. So as you can see, this part has finally come out, and I was hoping that was all of it in one go. But it wasn't. It did just leave a bit left behind in this particular region. But the next shot you'll already start to see, whoa, what's going on here. So just underneath where that last dark hardened bit of keratin is, you'll see what I think, I could be wrong on this, is the handle of the malleus. That's the bone that you normally see touching against the back of the eardrum, and all that region above it there, that shouldn't be there, I don't think. So this has been shedding on the eardrum, falling into that pocket there, but then it's been travelling further than they ordinarily do, and invading the middle ear space and kind of going up like that. Now, if I had an angled endoscope, maybe even not with one of them, which I don't have one, you might have been able to see what's going on up there, because like it goes along there, then it goes up. That's why it was so difficult to get out, and it goes up. I've changed the fining tube here, just because I didn't want to pull this with too much force, just in case it's attached to something behind there that we don't want it to come with it. So there will be a small little tail left, which is the bit you can see on the top left hand corner there. So again, and that may well lead to something bigger, a bigger collection of dead keratin up there. Hopefully not. But what it's called when it erodes all this part, I'm going to have to I made some notes on this because there's a lot of big words that I was struggling to remember, and it's called an autoaticotomy. Now, nature's aticotomy, I believe, and that happens when you get this erosion of all that area behind there because of what's been growing in there. It's been literally forcing its way open. Otomy usually means removal of. Similar to ectomy, if you ever had any surgery, it's something ectomy, something otomy. But this erosion there, that's been caused by this huge big keratin plug there. So this is the arrow's off put. So that's where I think, might be wrong, is the handle of the malleus there. And that's what it would look like on a normal eardrum. You can see a big difference, can't you? So that line I've drawn there is, I think, where the top of the eardrum would ordinarily be. So you can see that part above it, that's all been eroded away, and that's where that big keratin plug was going on up there. And like I said, that's the bit there that we cannot see. So that's why you need a scan to figure out what's going on up there, how far this thing goes, what else is it invaded. So hopefully we can get this chap seen as soon as possible anyway. I will keep you posted if I do find out some more. There's what we removed. They're not huge, but still it's where they were and the problems they were causing. But anyway, I hope you found that interesting. And I'll keep you posted as soon as I find something out. But for now, take care of yourself and I'll see you later. Ta-da.